So, welcome everybody to the first annual Wellness Summit. We are so excited to be here with you. My name is Enolia, and I'm here with my partner and sponsor, Christina.
Hi everyone, I'm Christina, and I must say that we are super excited for today. Yesterday we had an amazing evening with amazing speakers. As I can see and feel actually that today is going to be exactly the same. Amazing.
Yes, it is. I totally agree with you. And we wanted to share a little bit about our companies. First of all, we want to say thank you because as I lead as the co founder and CEO of Expressions of Humanity, we're really grateful that you're here. A part of the registration will be going to Expressions of Humanity, and it will be helping students in Peru go to school. So we're really excited about that. Thank you from Expressions of Humanity. Thank you from Enolia LLC and ChristinaCogna.com as sponsors for this. And we're excited. Christina, anything else?
I would love to thank all of you for being here today, for daring to share your stories because your voice matters. And for me and for Enonia, it's really important because when you share a message, we record that and we put it out there. We are like a ripple effect. You are the pebble. That's the correct word, right? And then, the energy what's here today is gonna go all around the world, everywhere. We are on different parts of the world, right? We are in Africa, we are in America, we are in Europe, and that's wonderful because energy it goes. And this is what we really would love, to spread this beautiful positive energy from you guys. So thank you. Thank you so much. I think we are ready to start. We are ready to hear the messages.
Thank you. The first message is going to be coming from me, Enolia Foti, and I just want to take a brief moment to introduce myself. So, yes, I am the CEO of Expressions of Humanity. I am also the CEO of Enolia LLC. And again, I want to just say thank you for being here. We know that you are the ripple effect. We know you are the wave. And why do I say ripple effect? And why do I say wave? Because what happens is that just like a lighthouse and a beacon that shines brightly and that says, come out of the storm, come out of the storm, I'm here if you seek me. This is what we're saying to humanity. Come out of the storm, come out of the storm. We have important stories to tell you. And when we share those stories, it should be impactful. And when it has the impact that it has and it's received, and those who choose to receive it, it will cause a ripple effect. And you are that ripple effect. So realize that what you say matters. Your voice needs to be heard. And your voice is powerful. It causes and is the heart and is the foundation and core of that ripple effect. It needs to go out in waves, just like sine waves, just like ocean waves, just like any type of vibration. Let the strength of your voice resonate everywhere. Let the thoughts and the quality of what you have to say be valued, and know that you are worthy to be heard, to be seen, to share what you have to say, to be loved, and to know that you are valued and you count. So I say to you today, we are excited to have you here. We know that you will move mountains with your stories and your speaking. And the time is now. So I welcome you. I'm excited for you, and we are ready. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much, Enolia. That was a beautiful speech, a beautiful introduction.
So we are so excited to have all of our speakers ready and waiting, and we are going to invite up to the podium the first person, which I have the pleasure and honor of introducing, Latasha. Her company is Optimum Life Credit Solutions. Latasha Ramsey Cyprian is a native of Abita Springs, LA, married and has two daughters. She received her MBA from LSU Shreveport. Latasha works professionally in HR. She is the owner of Optimum Life Credit Solutions. She is an author, credit repair specialist, life coach, and speaker. Latasha is Louisiana State Chair for G100 Oneness and Wisdom, Board President and Catch My Heart nonprofit organization, member of Hammond North Shore Jack and Jill of America Incorporated, and member of Tangipahoa Regional Blackness Business Chamber of Commerce. She is a member of Tangipahoa Professional Women International Society of Female Professionals and a member of the National Black MBA Association. Latasha is a brand ambassador for All Lives Do Exist Global Peace Movement and the Black Family Magazine. I present to you Latasha, and her presentation will be on how community thrives. Welcome to the podium, Latasha.
Thank you so much, and thank you for that beautiful introduction. So I am honored and pleased and happy to be here today. And like you mentioned, I want to talk about how communities thrive. We need to do more than just live, we need to actually thrive. So by definition, a community is a group of people living in the same place. However, I believe that a community is far more than that. Community is a series of relationships, a feeling of belonging and common interests. Building a strong community is not an easy task, and ensuring that your community thrives is a goal set by many developers, associations, and networking groups. However, not many achieve it. Simply placing a large number of people in the same place at the same time doesn't necessarily create a community. A major challenge facing the United States is to create thriving communities that enable low and moderate income families to lead lives with a reasonable degree of stability, support, and resources to take care of the basic needs, find satisfaction in life, and raise and educate their children successfully. It seems likely that a truly adequate response to this challenge a lot of rests on the multi-disciplinary research on finances, physical and mental health, employment, housing, child development and education, community well-being, political access and representation, and environmental sustainability. I believe that everyone should have the opportunity to be healthy regardless of income, race, education, or where you live. Opportunities for health starts long before illness or long before we need medical care. Health begins in the places we live, we work, we learn, and play. And strong, loving families living in quality, affordable housing in neighborhoods with parks and sidewalks and paths that promote exercise and play and where sources of affordable, healthy foods are nearby. And in communities committed to economic, social, and environmental sustainability. I believe also that in America and all across the world, where all people can earn enough to support their families, achieve that financial security. And every day, local leaders and organizations, they're working really hard to make this dream possible in their communities. However, sometimes these community-driven approaches are missed by those who could invest in them and help them reach more people. So how do we create a thriving community? So in my opinion, there's different elements that makes up creating thriving communities. Number one, we need to connect people. So this is about providing the opportunities to connect with neighbors and others in your community who have similar interests. There needs to be multiple opportunities set up for members of the community to meet, because it's rare to strike a conversation and feel immediate connection the very first time you meet someone. We need to provide a number of opportunities to connect that also allows for greater community connection and build the stronger relationships. Also, we need to learn how to challenge people to learn. Learning new things is a very pivotal part of life, and doing so with other members of the community allows you to build stronger relationships through common interests. And also, learning happens everywhere all the time. Building these opportunities to reflect on this experience that we need, and also it will help us to build our knowledge and skills. Another area is to encourage people to get involved in their community. If every household in your community never left their home, how strong would your community be? You need to develop areas within your community that people want to visit and enjoy together, such as shared parklands, shopping areas, cafes, um, community gardens. For example, your community garden will die if the community is not aware that there's work that needs to be done together to tend to it. You can also hold different events such as monthly gardening classes that will work to help educate the communities on the gardening techniques, as well as providing the community members with the opportunity to form these healthy and needed relationships. And another element is ask for input. You can't fix if you don't know what's broken. So as people, we make up the communities, and people is a very important concept for a community. So how can we as people help to diversify the economy? If we are given opportunities to access to education, then we have the engine of any modern day economy. We are, as people, the essential ingredient to achieve vibrant, thriving, resilient communities. We're also creative and entrepreneurial. We take entrepreneurial risks and we help develop new ideas, make new businesses, and create new markets and new economic opportunities wherever we go. So a healthy local community is one where residents hold genuine multiple respect for one another and have a strong commitment to where they live. I believe that it's important to create more jobs in our communities. That helps keep the money within the community, and it also gives us the opportunity to create more jobs. I'm committed to doing my part in my community to help it to be able to thrive so we can all thrive together. And I challenge everyone to do the same. Thank you so much for taking time to listen as I shared my views on how communities can thrive.
Thank you so much, Latasha. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Just to quickly summarize, you said that community is, oh, I've missed an audio. Community is a series of relationships, and I love that. I really, really love that. You have that feeling of belonging, right? It's important to educate children successfully. Again, very important because everything started at childhood, right? So we need to educate the children. And how to create a thriving community. Your idea is to connect people. Again, thank you for that because in the last few days, let's say, they tried to teach us to be disconnected. Okay. But we are human beings, we are souls having a human experience, and we need to be connected. And I love that. So thank you. And challenge people to learn something new. Thank you, because this is how they go out. This is how we go out from our comfort zone. I love that. Thank you so much, Natasha. I appreciate you. I see you, and you have a very strong message, really. And if a person took only one point of what you said and put it in practice, then we are also a step.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
We are
Thank you so
already a step
much.
further. So
Thank
thank you.
you. Thank you.
I
Thank
would
you.
now like to call to the floor Crystal Gunn. Crystal is the CEO and founder of the Amazing Woman Network, committed to breaking the chains of financial bondage in the Pan African community. Crystal Gunn is a fiscal strategist whose female focused economic organization has transformed lives throughout the Midwest. She is the founder and CEO of the Amazing Woman Network, a social enterprise with the goal of reclaiming personal power through mind, body, and spirit. In her leadership role, Gunn advises clients on how to forge advantageous relationships, social relationships, and amass wealth over a broad spectrum of investments and strategy, including home ownership, entrepreneurship, and more. Her people first business approach is summated in a quote by Black baseball legend Jackie Robinson. A life is not important except on the impact it has on other lives. Gunn holds a bachelor's in business administration from Michigan State University. She launched her career over 20 years ago, beginning in mortgage banking and management, later branching out into speaking, authoring, coaching, and activism. I welcome Crystal Gunn to the platform and her presentation, We Are Better Together. Welcome, Crystal.
Thank you. Thank you. Great day. I am Crystal Gunn, and thank you guys so much for this summit. I think it's absolutely awesome and needed. And I bring you greetings from Detroit, Michigan. So you've all heard the term, it takes a village to raise a child. And so during pregnancy, once you deliver through grade school, high school, college, and the rest of that child's life, it takes a village. And why? Because we're better together. And it also takes a village to do this thing that we call adulting. We need our village, our tribe, our friends, men and women friends, who will pick us up when we fall, to hold our hands during heartache and grief, to celebrate our wins, and to check us when we are wrong, because we're better together. It also takes a village to build a business. So entrepreneurship, we all know, is not for the faint of heart, and we can't do this thing alone. You need your village of staff, of partnerships, coaches, collaborators, and contractors. We are better together. So there's this saying that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. Why? Again, because we're better together. The world has done this great job at separating us, conditioning us to believe we have to do it alone, to keep us separate, to keep us from thriving. And you've heard the sayings, what happens in this house stays in this house. Don't show your hand, move in silence. If you want to be strong, learn to fight alone. Well, I don't always want to be strong. And I definitely don't want to fight alone. I don't always want to move in silence. And sometimes I need to show my hand to the trusted partner who knows how to play that hand better than I do. And what happens in this house shouldn't always stay in this house. Sometimes you have to step out of that house to get the healing, love, and support you deserve. It takes a village because we're better together. We are stronger together, more resilient together, smarter together, more passionate and powerful together. We are wealthier together. We can have a bigger impact together, and we can change the world together. So dictionary.com defines together as into or in union, proximity, contact, or collision as two or more things. It also defines it as into or in a relationship, association, business, or agreement as two or more persons. And lastly, taken or considered collectively or conjointly. So where's your tribe? Those individuals with whom you are in proximity, contact, or union, in relationship, association, or business. If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. So here's my challenge to you. Expand your tribe. Determine who can help you go far. Make a list and reach out to them. Build the necessary alliances to have massive impact. We have amazing men and women speaking at this summit from all over the world. Contact us. Unite with us. Build with us. Why? Because we're better together. And so a quote by Jackie Robinson is one which I live. A life is not important except for the impact it has on other lives. And everything I do is about positively impacting the lives of others. So the Amazing Woman Network is about empowering and uplifting women to reclaim our personal power, mind, body, and spirit, reclaim our financial power, and increase social involvement. Again, why? Because we're better together. And through our community development programs, initiatives, and strategic partnerships, United Community Solutions, which is my 501c3 nonprofit, strives to rebuild entire communities, the individual, the family, and the businesses. And again, why? Because we are better together. We know the world needs healing. I believe it starts with the individual woman and man, and then our personal villages, and then our communities. What if we could heal, uplift, and empower communities and then connect those communities across the globe? That's my mission. So, to each and every person who hears this message, you were given incredible gifts. God showed you a glimpse, a preview of what you're supposed to do with those gifts, the lives which you will impact with those gifts. And so, my question is, are you living out your life using those gifts loudly and boldly to impact the lives of others? Or are you moving in silence and fighting alone? What happens if you build your team across the globe? What happens if you work in collaboration with others? And what happens if you walk in your God-given greatness? I'll tell you, we will rise individually and collectively. Our communities will rise, and ultimately, we change the world. So it's no longer a matter of should we or could we. We absolutely must. And why? Because we're better together. Thank you for your time.
Wow. Thank you so much, Crystal. That was a powerful message what you shared. And Christina could go on and on and on and on, but I'm just gonna stop. I'm just gonna summarize a little bit pretty fast what you said. And yes, I completely agree. It takes a village to raise a child. I love that. I absolutely love it. And we are better together. And thank you. Thank you for reminding that, because as you said, alone you can go fast, but together we can go far. And this is what we are doing actually here today, right? We meet, we have the summit, we share the message, right? We have this beautiful energy, but then we can connect individually, okay? You can say that ripple effect, and that's gonna grow and grow. And we're gonna rise not just individually but collectively. So thank you so much, Crystal. It was a very much needed message. I love you for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I have to say thank you, because I always say this thing: dream a beautiful dream or you will be dreamt. Which
Mhm.
means that if you don't stand in your power and your authenticity right here, right now, you're going to live your life by somebody else's viewpoint of you. We have to speak out now. And I love what you said. And it warms my heart, because we may have held the platform, but you all are the gift. You're the gift. And everything you state is the gift to humanity. This
Mhm.
contribution right here, right now. So thank you for just driving that home, and that most positive message.
Thank you.
And I'd like to call to the stage Dr. Arshana Bhattacharjee. Dr. Arshana is an educator, a social activist, philanthropist, and former Assam State badminton player. As an educator, she believes in igniting the minds of the younger generation with the light of knowledge and grooming them to become good human beings and befitting citizens of the country. As a social activist, she works with the marginalized and downtrodden section of the Tea community in Assam, helping to empower the youth to bring about positive transformation in their own communities. The sports person in her understands the importance of a well-rounded holistic development and how it helps in channelizing the energy of the younger generation in the right direction. Therefore, she emphasizes and works towards popularizing sports amongst the Tea community youth so that they're able to bring reform and positive transformation within themselves. As they say, service to humanity is service to God, and she strives to live her life by this golden rule. Her mantra in life has always been to think globally but act locally in all spheres of life. So, Dr. Ashana, being the lead of the NGO Navakiran Manch, I welcome her to the stage, and her presentation, Sports as a Tool in Community Transformation. Welcome, Dr. Ashana.
Thank you, Anolia, for the beautiful introduction. So, namaste and good evening from India. At the very outset, I would like to thank the organizers of the Global Online Wellness Summit for providing us a platform to air and share our views on issues which are very close to our heart. Let me first give you a brief overview of the community, the tea community, amongst whom I have spent some quality time in the last couple of years in course of my social work through my NGO, Navkiran Manch. As you all know, our day starts with a cup of tea, but very few people spare a thought for the community whose hands are responsible for that cup of refreshing tea. I am interested in the hands, and that is why I took up work amongst the tea community. The tea garden community actually are the multi-ethnic groups of tea garden workers referred to as the tea tribes by the government of Assam. They are the descendants of the people brought in by the British colonial planters as indentured laborers from different states of India in 1860s to 90s in multiple phases to work in the tea gardens. They're one of the most backward and exploited communities in Assam due to decades of continuous exploitation by the tea estate management and neglect on the part of the government. Though the younger generations are better educated now and becoming professionals in various fields now, there are not many of them in the community. The literacy rates of the community is one of the lowest in the state, particularly among girls and women. Due to this, girls are extremely vulnerable to sexual exploitation and early marriages are prevalent among them. Illiteracy, poverty, addiction of males to country liquor, poor standard of living, rising population, and inadequate health facilities provided to them are some of the major problems in their lives. Keeping the above scenario in mind, I decided to form an NGO with some youth volunteers from the tea community to work for youth empowerment, women and girl empowerment with the tools of education and sports. To attract the students, sports and outdoor activities are very, very important. Such activities not only add to the fitness of the students, but also provide them with space and opportunity to build confidence and shape the personality of the younger generation. From past experiences as an educator and sports person, I have seen that sports and outdoor activities can play a very important role in the development of the essential life skills, bonding, and community development. I have also seen from my last few years of observation that there is no dearth of talents in the tea garden of Assam. What is lacking actually are opportunities, resources, leadership, and enabling environment to engage the youths in sports, especially sports for girls, as norms and cultural discriminations do not encourage them to take part in such outdoor activities. To overcome these hurdles, to create space for girls in sports, in 2020, our NGO took the initiative to make arrangement during the COVID-19 pandemic to introduce the game of volleyball in two tea gardens, Diha and Monumoy in Jorhat district of Assam, through the online mode, under the supervision of the former Team India volleyball captain, Mr. Abhijit Bhattacharya. The response was very, very encouraging and amazing. And once the pandemic situation improved, we collaborated with the Assam Volleyball Mission 100 and got two centers registered for participation in the famous Brahmaputra Volleyball League. So from 2020, our girls and boys under 12 and under 16 have become regular participants and have been displaying unexpected performance at the district and the zonal level of the Brahmaputra Volleyball League. We have also tried to rope in a professional coach from the National Institute of Sports to give them short-term intensive coaching. And we believe that with continued moral and physical support, these promising marginalized T community children will definitely scale heights in the years ahead. Volleyball now has become their lifeline in these two gardens especially, and has also helped in creating a very encouraging and healthy environment. Again, from my observation and experience, I can now very confidently say that sports has promoted participation, inclusion, human values, acceptance of rules, regulation, discipline, health promotion, non-violence, gender equality, among others, in these two gardens. We see that community participation in the sports have also helped in reducing some of the social evils which were earlier prevalent in their community, particularly addiction to country liquor, addiction to many other bad vices. These have decreased to a great extent because now they have started giving more importance, more time to the children who are participating in volleyball. The holistic development of the children is our biggest reward. With sustainable effort, we are focusing on positive transformation amongst all in the long run. This will necessarily consist. It doesn't mean that just because an individual tops or scales heights or does something extraordinary in sports and stands on the podium, receives some medal, well, transformation does not start with just one individual. Transformation will really start only when all collectively join hands, work together to scale heights of excellence. And so we are hoping that the next generation will, supported by the tools of sports, will become good citizens and prepared with the necessary competence to face our country's present and future challenges. Till then, we will continue our mission with the mantra, think globally, work locally. Thank you so much for giving me a patient hearing. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Archana, for sharing. And I must acknowledge you and I must congratulate you. I love you. I see you for the work, what you are doing in the T community. We need people like you. I really absolutely love it. And yes, I completely agree with you that sport is very important because it teaches them self-respect, confidence, discipline, and it's absolutely wonderful, the work what you are doing. So all my respect. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you so much, Dr. Arshana, because I understand truly the impact that you're making on that community. And it's absolutely fabulous. And that's why it's so powerful to have your story shared here. That's the ripple effect that we're talking about. It takes one person, one light, one thought, one idea put into play. And look how many lives that have been impacted by that one thought. So thank you again for sharing that story, for sharing the impact of that community. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And our next speaker, I call to the podium, Spreza Delija. She is the professor of English, Faculty of Foreign Languages, Tirana University, Albania. She has a record of successful teaching and teacher training in Albania, Kosovo, and Macedonia. She has contributed in the Albanian reforms of education in Albania and has been teaching for about 44 years. The professor has been very active in pre-service and in-service student-teacher trainings. She has been the president of ELTA Albania English Language Association for 8 years and has organized more than 32 conferences in the country where around 5,000 teachers have participated to exchange teaching experiences with one another. In 2014, ELTA Albania got the first HL Prize, House of London, among 157 associations in the world. Dr. Spreza Delija has been a member of the IATEFL UK and TESOL International, USA since 1994. She has been a member of the steering committee of the Professional Development Division at the TESOL International for 6 years. She is secretary of ESU, English Speaking Union in Albania, hence be in the jury of the public speaking competitions organized by ESU every year. Working with professionals worldwide has made her embrace the best teaching methods and apply them in Albanian classes. So with that, welcome to the stage, Professor.
Okay. So good evening to every one of you. And I mean, it's a big opportunity to participate in this big symposium. And I would love to, to thank the organizers, especially Christina, who I've recently known her through a very short trip in Albania. And we participated in a art gallery where her sister, uses to live here in Albania, but not for long. Now to come to the point, I mean, my presentation is not as as professional as yours, because you are more professional than me on how to talk about peace, how to talk about emotions, and so on. But I'll do my best. How do I transmit all these qualities to my student teachers? Because I mean, as you mentioned above, I just prepare student teachers who are becoming teachers of English in my country. As you know, perhaps you don't know where Albania is, but Albania is in the southern part of Europe. And it's ridiculous to say that, but it is true that Albania is the most, poor country, in Europe. And anyhow, we have a beautiful place. Our country is gorgeous. Beautiful mountains and rivers and seas, lakes and people, nice people. But because of the bad policy, we are under this and being for a long time, for more than 47 years under the regime of Communist Party, we've been very, very poor. But in spite of that, we teachers or we professors at the university, we do our best to create good teachers and devoted teachers for the country. Because especially recently, we see with the opening of the doors of Europe and the world, because we know that the world is very small, we see that the tendency of the youngsters is to leave the country, which is, I feel very pity for that. Because, to leave this beautiful place, who is going to, to educate the little children in my country. So my dedication to my students is to tell them, you have to trust your inner voice. Talk to yourself first. Bring everything that you see that goes around you to reflect. How are you going to leave this country? How are you going to leave, your parents, to leave your relatives, to leave your friends and this beautiful place? So once you trust your voice, and I'm sure that your voice is going to tell you that don't leave this country, but stay here, because the Albanian kids, the Albanian youth needs you. So you are the future of Albania, and you are going to bring change in Albania. So you have to trust your voice, because that is the voice that speaks out the truth that you feel inside yourself. Don't get disappointed of any of your head teachers, for example, when you are a fresh, educator in any kind of school, but just talk to yourself. Think of, the benefits rather than, your your personal benefits, but the collective benefits. So just think of togetherness that one of the speakers just talked about previously. So we should, as educators, what I do with my students is to follow their heart and to trust themselves more, and not to get disappointed, and not to surrender, not to give up to their beautiful job. Teaching is an art, and as an art, you have to love that. And art, embodies a lot of good features in our life. So it gives us power, how to work, how to live, how to make, or how to bring changes in our country. But also, it also can influence our creative efforts in our work, how creative we should be. So I tell them not to get bored of your work, because I know teachers nowadays, not only in Albania, but everywhere where I travel, they are not, taking what they really do, and also what they really deserve for what they do. But also they should be passionate, because this is life. They should, again, listen to their inner voice, and to think for the perspectives of the country, for the perspectives of the teaching profession, or the development of this profession, which is very, very crucial in our country. So don't think of burnout, because I see teachers, old and young teachers in my country. They feel fatigued and they feel tired, But as Cicero says, nobody can give you wiser advice than yourself. Listen to your inner voice, and find strengths in yourself. Find strengths, because God is in you and is helping you. So why not just embrace all together? Me as, an educator, with other educators that are in this panel, but also you as coaches, helping us just embracing, and also bringing changes, not only in our countries, but in the whole world, because the whole world needs people like you are. So thank you again, every one of you, bringing up brilliant ideas and embracing me. So I took some notes to show everything that I listened to this wonderful symposium, the first day and today, and I'm going to tell my students, so how people work in the world. This is what we should do, to work for our countries, to prosper them, and to make them very beautiful, and especially changing the mindset of our people. Thank you so much.
Wow, thank you so much, Preta. And I would love to acknowledge you and respect you, because you are a woman and educator for 44 years in education. I'm 44, you work your whole life in education, so I acknowledge you for that. And I must say that Preta is an absolutely brilliant teacher. Her students love her. She was very modest here. Yes, I know what you are saying about your country and about the community there. It needs a mindset change, but it will take a little bit of time. I grew up in a communist country, so I know what you are talking about, but I promise you, the young generation will get there with people like you, teachers like you, and you teach others how to be teachers. I'm absolutely sure that your community will thrive. So congratulations, Prasad. Thank you for making your voice heard. And thank you for being with us today.
And I want to say thank you also because you paved the way. And let me tell you, it will be very hard for us to meet the standard that you've set. And I applaud you for setting that standard nice and high because we can rise to the occasion. So, all those youth that you are planting a seed in, bravo, because they will bloom and flower. So, thank you again.
Thank you so much. Great pleasure to be among you, brilliant people.
Thank you. So next, I would like to call to the stage Dr. Linda Tello, founder and CEO of Whole Earth Engineering. Linda is the first generation Latina with indigenous ancestry from Colombia and New Mexico. She has always been interested in indigenous knowledge and ancient engineering. She saw opportunities to support both indigenous communities and non-indigenous communities through the integration of their different knowledge systems for betterment of humanity. Thus, Whole Earth Engineering Incorporated was born. So I welcome Dr. Linda Tello and her presentation, Primitive Western Mindsets, Limit Indigenous Community. Welcome, Dr. Linda Tello.
Thank you, Anilia, so much. Thank you, everyone, for this opportunity to speak. So I wrote something last night, as I told Anilia, 3:30 in the morning, because I was like, Spirit, download something. Let me know what you need me to say. So, because I'd been thinking about it for a while, but here goes. This is what came through me, and I think it's touched upon a lot of the themes that I've heard people say today. So here I go. So, hello, I am Dr. Linda Tello, and I am the founder of Whole Earth Engineering, Inc. My doctorate is in civil, environmental, and sustainable engineering. I'm a professionally licensed industrial engineer in the states of New Mexico and Hawaii. My family is from Colombia, South America, and I am a first-generation American. I am the founder of Whole Earth Engineering, Inc. I founded Whole Earth Engineering, Inc. because as a student of engineering and indigenous knowledge systems, mainly of the Andes, via the traditions of the Q'ero, who are the last living descendants of the Inca, I recognized the need to bridge and develop respect between indigenous and non-indigenous knowledge systems for the creation of integrated and holistic approaches to humanity's needs: food, water, shelter, energy, and community. I perceive that many behaviors Western visitors to Peru saw as traditional, such as indigenous people putting their items on the floor when selling them at a market, really had a more practical origin, that the people didn't have tables. This called my attention because I would see tables available for indigenous people to use, but often they were never offered to the people. They were not offered because of the justification that, oh, it's not their tradition to use tables, but the people weren't given an option or the opportunity to actually use the tables. I began to recognize that many behaviors that seem benign had a dark origin that most of us are unaware of. One such origin is the two papal bulls, the Romanus Pontifex of 1454 and the Inter Caetera of 1493, issued by the Catholic Church, Pope Alexander VI in the 15th century, and are what have retroactively become known as the doctrine of discovery. These papal bulls are what Christian Europeans used to justify the subjugation of non-Christian nations and peoples through patterns of domination and dehumanization that had become institutionalized in language, thought, and behavior in our cultural and legal systems. These mindsets were established by Spanish rulers who were in debt to other nations, such as the Dutch, for their participation in foreign wars, and needed to appease their subjects who were appalled at seeing indigenous and other human beings sold as commodities at market. rulers justify their deeds by labeling non-Christian people as subhuman, possessing of souls that could be saved and pay tithes to the church. And because we're bipedal, even though they could do hard labor, we're above animals. Unfortunately, the mindsets for justifying the buying and selling of non-Christian people has shape-shifted and embedded itself into the lingering colonistic and discriminatory mindsets many Indigenous peoples experience today. I have experienced some of these mindsets by having fellow Americans ask me, "What country are you from? How long have I been in this country?" Or hearing people ask if I'm the new administrative assistant. Nothing against admins. I can't do that job. We all have our skills. That's not my skill set. But rather than asking if I'm the new engineer, or asking, is English my first language, as though I couldn't have learned more than one language at a time? These experiences may seem innocuous. However, they represent a deeper idea of otherness, that because I am different than what the person doing the viewing has defined as normal based on their filters, that somehow I am not equal to those perceiving me. By themselves, the questions are benign, but the context in which they're asked is where the idea of separation and possibly not equal is found. These experiences opened my eyes to my own unconscious ideas of how I may perceive others as not equal to me. To recognize how I may perceive others through a Western lens may be like using a fishnet to catch water. It doesn't work. And though, yes, we all have differences, it is perceiving the differences as having more or less value than your own value or standards, where we can find when working with Indigenous communities, we, those of Western upbringing, are what limit Indigenous community development. When I began working with the Q'ero people of Peru, the last living descendants of the Inca, Elisa, a young lady from the community, said I was the only person she had met who had come to their community and said they were rich. She was very perplexed. She said, "We don't have many things." I said, "True, not many Western material things, but they possessed many riches that Western people can't buy with all their resources: natural beauty, connection with the land, fresh water, belonging, sovereignty. Rich depends on how you choose to define it. And by accepting another's definition of your value or what rich is, that is where the ultimate poverty is found. Poverty of mind and spirit." She said that our conversation opened her eyes and allowed her to begin to see her community from a different perspective. I had a similar experience with her cousin Ruben. Whole Earth Engineering Inc. sponsored 8 Q'ero youth and their families to participate in a 9-month photography and video ethnography program. I felt it was important that before anything, the people, especially the youth, had tools to tell their story, their history from their own perspectives. Again, where they could define who and what they are through their own lens and vision for themselves, and share themselves with the world, rather than, like the papal bulls, have others define who they are and what their value is. A value that would continue to be bought and sold when those not from their community would be telling the world who the Q'ero are. At the beginning of the program, I asked Ruben what he imagined for his community, and he said he really couldn't think of anything. At the end of the program, Ruben said he was so full of ideas, he couldn't believe he hadn't seen all the possibilities that had been right in front of him the entire time. I have had to recognize unconscious programming with regard to Indigenous people, such as that because someone had a third-grade education didn't mean they had the mentality of a 10-year-old. This was a very eye-opening realization that I used a Western standard of measure of education to measure a person's mental capacity. It was very subconscious, but in realizing that by measuring someone's mental acuity with a Western standard of intelligence, I was insulting them without realizing it. For how could I expect to catch water with a fishnet? Ruben said to me that I was very smart, which I said, intelligence is relative. I might know engineering, but please don't leave me overnight on the mountain alone, because I would probably die since I didn't have knowledge of how to live in that environment and I couldn't convince a jaguar to eat me. So overall, the most important things in my experience that support community development is humility, respect, integrity, and faith. Go with an open mind like that of a child and wonder, and an awareness of our biases. Respect people's traditions because they may be different than your own. Doesn't make them good or bad. People know what they want and what they need, even though they may not know options for achieving the vision they have for their community's future. This is where we can serve as catalysts and bridges to connect communities to resources and ideas. Integrity, work from your heart as your compass and your mind as your logic to help you navigate the challenges of any project. Be impeccable with your word, as Don Miguel Ruiz states in his book, The Four Agreements. This was huge because I first promised myself I would work the community. And when I got to Cairo and saw the logistical and resource challenges, I wanted to run away. I understood why, as Elisa shared, lots of people would go, but rarely any would come back. I would not let them down. I promised myself I would come back. This is when faith stepped in. I had to open my heart to allow Spirit to remind me that everything we have in this world is financed by Spirit, Universe, Creator, God, that I wasn't alone. Put action to my faith and it would happen. But we, the Cairo people, me, and whoever is in alignment with the work who wants to join us is needed to accomplish the work, because it is too big even for the Cairo people to do themselves, or they would have already done it. That by reaching out to others, knocking on doors like I did with Engineers Without Borders, we will find the professional students or chapters that will be aligned to help us support the projects that we're doing at this living heritage community. That what limits Indigenous community development are mindsets that are often unconscious to ourselves, that we have gotten comfortable in the imbalance, because that imbalance is what keeps us from being fully accountable to our own participation in limiting the development of other people. 1 second. Because it's easier to say they don't use tables as opposed to offering a table for someone to use, because we may unconsciously fear that we are the ones who may find ourselves without a table. We need to move beyond the mindsets of the papal bulls that justify the actions of those in power for their own benefit, and move to a conscious awareness of how it is that each of us, as we become more and more aware of our own unconscious biases, create limitations for ourselves and others, that as we grow individually, when we work with Indigenous communities, we will grow collectively and become amazed by what Spirit manifests. And to paraphrase Ruben, together, we will have so many ideas, we won't know where to start. Thank you for your time and attention.
Wow, thank you so much, Dr. Linda.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you.
amazing. And that's a topic what Christina absolutely loves and embraces. So Enolia, stop me if I'm going over, okay, please? Because I absolutely love the idea of bridging, of getting to know one another, and by respecting our traditions. And yes, I do believe that Indigenous people are richer than any other person in the world, really. I love their culture. It should be honestly implemented in the Western cultures, in Europe, everywhere. I love their mindset. I love how they connect to the earth, right? To the elements. So these are all things what we all should learn and embrace. And we are the ones, we should put them in practice in our lives, and instead of judging, is that the right word, Enolia? Then we should go inside and look at ourselves, what we have done, why we are where we are right now, and how and what we can do to improve that relationship what we have right now with the Indigenous people. So thank you so much for sharing. I love you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Linda Tello, my dear, dear friend. And we've worked together on this project for a long time. And I'm just so proud of her work. She doesn't even share truly how much she's impacted the lives of the Kiro. And her work is phenomenal. She saved lives. Their alpaca is now able to eat, and therefore they are able to eat, and her implementation of wells, her implementation of moving mountains, she is an amazing worker, and she doesn't say it. So I will say it for her. So I'm just so proud, and thank you for that speech, because people need to know that you can move mountains. Again, it only takes one person, one idea, and the impact is a ripple effect. So thank you.